This conference will now be recorded.
Wow. Okay, so the record button is actually called resume, right? You know, I don't know. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, we're into May, and let's just get started. So this is the OCP ECS call. We've got and Jeff and David and hi Mohammed. Small crew today, but not too surprised. So other than OCP Europe, and we've got the tech talks coming out for everybody. How's everybody else doing?
Good.
Anything to kind of bring up or discuss in terms of ECS? Anything you're working on or planning on working on?
So would you mind kind of giving us an overview? It was just an interesting subject.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to join because we're doing some work on cabling and various areas
Mm-hmm.
within OCP as well. So it'd be great if you
Cool. Yeah, always welcome to. Yeah, that's always good to
could
learn.
exploring. That's all. So
Yeah,
just barging in.
of course.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, just to not dive too much into it, and certainly you could, find more verbose description in the wiki and charter. But basically, we're a sub-project under networking, and what we really want to do is drive direction towards enterprise solutions, and particularly in networking connectivity. And so, this kind of comes out of, right, networking right now, and most of OCP for that matter, kind of deals with a large size hyperscaler type deployments. And this is where we're, kind of trying to fill the gap in with, all remote offices, distribution facilities, retail locations. We had Amazon we were working with for a little while there. And just with the goal of putting together, these network designs that can, kind of scale in the way that enterprise works, which is not the size of hyperscalers, and certainly goes way down, especially when you're even talking about maybe a very small remote office or even a home office setup. So that's pretty much the end of it. Questions?
No, I think that helps. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm happy you asked, because always happy to talk about that and put more messaging around that, and just bring awareness to what we're trying to do here and what's the purpose and goal. So yeah, with that being said, anybody have anything? Jeff, I don't know what's been going on in your world, but you certainly seem to be the most active in terms of getting things done. So, because I'll turn it over to you and just, ask you, what you've been working on.
Well, we did, as you know, we being Celestica, we did a contribution through the ECS group back in October at Regional Summit. I mean, at National Summit, Global Summit, for a 1 gigabit switch that could either be used in an enterprise environment or a data center rack level management switch. It didn't have PoE incorporated into that design, but you can certainly use PoE extenders outside of the switch for an enterprise environment. So that was in October. And then recently, last month at Regional Summit, of course, AWS did a follow-up on their contribution of a base specification for an enterprise gateway. So they did
That's great.
they did a keynote presentation and kind of went over what that base specification covers, and then at regional summit, Celestica did a design contribution for a product based on that base specification. So an enterprise gateway that follows the requirements of the Amazon specification. So we contributed that paper specification, and that actually went through the IC review last week. So that's making its way through the process, and hopefully will be voted on here in the next couple of weeks. That contribution. So there's that's ongoing, and that's a pretty interesting product because it can be built in many different ways based on its modularities. It's not FRUs per se, but orderable different options allow everything from a simple multi-rate / 1 gig enterprise switch with or without PoE all the way up until a gateway device that includes not only the PoE function but also embedded Wi-Fi capability, embedded LTE / 5 gig capability, and some high-end processors that could run applications such as firewall and applications such as that for an edge type of deployment. So with that, there was some meetings at the regional summit in Prague. I think AWS was behind some of these as well, about let's start talking about enhancements perhaps that could be made or needs to be made to the SI layer to help expose some of the enterprise functions that are required in these types of devices. Now, at the SI layer, not everything needs to be done at that layer, but there may be certain functions such as perhaps MACsec encryption that needs to be enabled on the underlying silicon, or maybe some configuration for IDS or firewalling or those types of applications. So those conversations started in Prague. I wasn't able to attend those meetings, but that's perhaps something that, Jack, we could follow up in these meetings, is what are the requirements that this group has for features and functions for the enterprise environment that would require changes to the SI layer, and then we could talk about those perhaps in this meeting and then bring those into the SI working group. And then also, once we talk through those, what are the additional functional elements that may be needed to add it into either Sonic or Dent for the enterprise environment, and talk through those, and then bring those ideas to those working groups in the Linux Foundation also. So those, those are pretty important things to try to help develop usable products based on the hardware contributions that have either been done or will be ongoing. We're going to need software support on top of it. So this would be a good time to start to build out those requirements, bring those requirements to different other communities, and then after that, it'd be good to start to build an ecosystem of software providers that might have a commercial NOS available for these types of devices, or someone that perhaps makes a SD-WAN SASE type of software solution that could run on these gateway devices in a disaggregated white box model. So I hope I wasn't on mute for all that.
No, I caught it all. Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, and I think also some of it is probably a little bit of research on what the I guess feature requests for Psi and Sonic and Dent look like. Not to get the cart in front of the horse a little bit, but yeah, once we get those ideas of what those requirements might be and the kind of functional and feature changes that we want to see introduced. What's their process do? Because I'm sure they all have a process that's slightly different. So yeah, that's a good roadmap for things to work on. So I appreciate all that, putting all the words to it that we've been talking about and we've been wanting to get done in this working group. So we just got to keep I guess pushing forward with it. Yeah, in terms of the gateway device, that's x86.
Yes, so the
Hmm.
Celestial design, at the bare minimum, utilizes the integrated ARM processor in the switching silicon for just low-level network operating system functions, either perhaps Sonic or DEN. And if you want to run it as a gateway with the SD-WAN type of functionality, you can order that with a COM-E x86 module.
Wow. Oh,
In
cool,
addition,
cool,
so
cool.
there's two COM-E modules available, and an Atom class Denverton processor, and then a Xeon class
Hmm.
Hewlett Lake processor. Depending on
That's nice.
your
Yeah.
workloads and your needs.
Yeah, because I know a couple of the, you mentioned the commercial vendors as well for SD-WAN. Yeah, I think, and certainly, I suppose if you were doing a full SD-WAN type deployment, you'd probably want, you'd be looking at something maybe a little bit more than just the embedded ARM core. So that's where you go anyway.
Right.
But yeah, but getting some of those, in front of these, existing SD-WAN software suites to kind of kick the tires on, would probably be worthwhile. But yeah, so like for example, if I had a relationship with an SD-WAN vendor, would you be able to like facilitate trying to get that in front of them for sort of testing or trying their SD-WAN software on?
No, sure. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I might have one in mind. And as you mentioned, I mean, they're right now, they have a lot of them have lists of here are the white boxes that we've tested with our product and approved for purchasing, to use as your gateway device, as your head end, et cetera. Well, I mean, head end is mostly just at this point servers with NICs on them, but yeah, or virtual appliances. Yeah, so okay. Well, that all sounds well and good. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you for that rundown. I did have one more question on. So you said you had been, the first thing you mentioned was Psi and some of the layers that would be pertinent to this. What was like the kind of main one that's been kind of missing for that? Because I know there was something, I can't remember what it was. Was it the
Yeah, I
PoE
wasn't.
that we were trying to talk
I
about?
didn't attend. I didn't attend the meetings in Prague.
Oh, okay, got it.
But there was some breakout meetings where there were some conversations about adding certain functions to Psi,
Hmm.
and it was around the Dent operating system now going to
Hmm.
leverage Psi for its abstraction instead of
I see. Yeah, I did. Oh, is Dent okay? So yeah, I can't remember. Can't just keep track of each one. But Dent doesn't leverage side now, and if
no,
it
but
did,
it's
that would be
moving in that direction where it's going to start
okay.
leveraging. So there are
Okay.
some functions that Dent has today, I'm
Hmm.
guessing, that require some Psi enhancements. So that would be like
Hmm.
phase one, and then after that, I'm sure there's other PSI enhancements that might be needed for other enterprise type of functionality.
Right. Yeah. And whether it gets built in Dent and then upstream to Psi, or gets built in Psi and Dent utilizes it. Either way, it's a win for ECS to be able to have more options in terms of deployments and so forth. Great. So yeah. Anybody have anything else to bring to the table, to the quorum? Well, silence is golden. Yeah, I'll just what I'll do is I'll send some quick notes that I took down in this meeting, and just kind of put it in a kind of follow-ups verbiage, so we could try to get a little bit of traction on this. And if there's nothing else, then we'll just ended a little early. I did want to ask about, and this was something that came up a while ago. Sorry, this is some new business too that I sort of forgot. But is there any appetite for possibly changing this time slot? I've been in mostly a like a rolling conflict that sort of comes up at this time. So it's kind of made me a little difficult to make these meetings. But is there anyone really wedded to this time, or maybe we could put it up for a poll for changing to a certain day of the week? Probably a similar time slot, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you just throw a couple options in a poll, we can go through it.
Okay. Yeah. And do your weeks, Jeff, include any more liberties on Fridays, or because I know Fridays sometimes is a little easier for folks, but it really depends.
Fridays I'm normally available.
What's that?
Fridays are fine for me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll try to find a couple of times to suggest. Yeah, because it seems like and it seems like there might be other conflicts because just attendance being what it is to these meetings. Yeah, and I think also as we are kind of still in the phase of tech companies still doing massive layoffs. I think that also kind of affects this 10% time, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I kind of take that into consideration as well in terms of thinking about maybe why attendance has changed. But hey, just wish everybody all the best, of course. Not an easy time to be in tech, that's for sure. All right, everyone. Let's go ahead and we'll end this since we're at the top of the half hour. And I think we'll go ahead and try to put a couple feelers out for times. I think I might even try to see if there's appetite to reduce this to. It usually ends up being a half hour. And that sort of fits probably easier into a lot of people's schedules. So I might pull out for that as well. But thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your week. And talk to you guys in 2 weeks. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care.